generation to generation.
White. Pass is incomplete. Intended for Drew Pearson. He got it on a bounce. It'll be 4th down.
At the top of the show, I said any team can win if they're better. Sometimes you take that for granted. But to be the team that's the underdog and steal a championship, that lasts with you forever, because that one, when the ring goes on the finger, that one really means something.
It would be hard to say that the Eagles had stolen this one, though, as good as they've played. Who has 2 field goals. Montgomery a touchdown, 42 yards out. Leroy Harris was superb, ran well. He scored the other touchdown. Dallas touchdown by Dorsett. But for the most part, he's been held in check. So is Danny White. Going for the bundle intended for Butch Johnson. Intercepted by Roynell Young. And fumbled. But the Eagles have it. And that is all she wrote in this one. 20 years ago, the Eagles beat Green Bay at Franklin Field. 1980, the Eagles win the NFC. They lead Dallas 20-7 with 22 seconds left to play. Vermeil, I'm sorry. Executive producer Charles Milton III, and we like to thank Bob Stinner.
Big Robert.
This game.
That's right.
And directed by Sandy Grossman.
Nobody's better.
Maybe the Eagles. Richard Drake, John McDonough, and all the rest of you. Thank you. You make this more like a vacation than a job. Running now at 16 seconds left to play. The NFC Championship belongs to the folks in green and white. What a display they put on today. On a hard day to play. Say thank you to everybody.
I've never seen better football than this football season, Patrick. I mean that. By everybody.
So the Eagles are the NFC champions. For the moment. And some are all saying so long for Tom Brookshire from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Now let's go to Brent Musburger.
All right, Pat Summerall, thank you very much. You and Tommy did your usual excellent job, and congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. What not so long ago was a city of losers has suddenly become a city of champions, Jimmy.
And no kidding. Let's give Marion Campbell and their defensive coaches a lot of credit. They did a super job.
They sure did, didn't they, Raj, here today?
They really did. I thought going into this game, the way Dallas has been playing, the Eagles were hurting. They had some people hurt. I also said before the game that turnovers and Wilbert Montgomery staying healthy would make a difference. And Montgomery was sensational today. The defense did a great job. I'll go along with Jimmy there. He's right. But also Wilbert Montgomery was sensational, and they hit the big plays and took advantage of the turnovers.
All right, Terry, it was some performance in the second half. You called it turnovers.
Well, I think the most important thing here today as compared to last week's game, Philadelphia played their game. They stayed with their running attack. They didn't make the mistakes. They overcame what few they did make, and they played great defense, and that's how you win championships.
We got a lot more to come. We're going to go inside that Philadelphia Eagles locker room. We'll have highlights. Jimmy will talk about Oakland and San Diego as the NFL Today continues after these messages from your local stations.
Remember when your worst fear was failing in school, being left back? Today, there are parents who look forward to their kids being left back. Why? Watch 60 Minutes tonight on CBS.
Now it resumes.
Joy reigns in Philadelphia. Philadelphia. 27, the Eagles over the Cowboys. And look at big Harold Carmichael and the rest of the Eagles inside that locker room. Carmichael, of course, had a touchdown pass nullified in the first half. The Eagles, as is their usual custom, many of them will bow their heads in silent prayer at the conclusion of this. And what a job by an organization that turned it around within the last 4 or 5 years. Let me just use one example of a player. Roger and Terry know him so well. He is the linebacker, of course, Jerry Robinson. He came out of UCLA. And Russell Erxleben was the man that the Eagles had pinpointed as the top athlete in the draft that year. He, of course, was selected by the New Orleans Saints. They then picked Jerry Robinson, who today turned in one of the finest games ever by a linebacker in a championship game. Now let's go to Irv Cross with Coach Dick Vermeil. Irv?
Hi, Brent. Leonard Toes is congratulating Dick Vermeil. Leonard?
What do you want me to say? It's fantastic. What a super effort by our whole organization. And my good friend Dick told me before the game we were going to do it.
Congratulations, Leonard. Okay, Dick Vermeil, the man of the hour. Of course, Dick, the question I want to ask you, 7-7 at halftime, you're all knotted up. In the second half, the Eagles came out like a house of fire. What do you say to the club at halftime?
Well, I just felt that we had taken Dallas's best shots and that we had some opportunities to score and had scored and had one call back. And I just felt today we were the better football team. And Dallas has played 3 outstanding games in a row. And it's really tough to play 4 in a row. And they were at a disadvantage playing here. And, you know, they're a first-class organization and a well-coached football team. But it really is a thrill to beat that kind of football team.
But didn't you have some reservations coming into the game with the wide receiver core shattered with injuries and Wilbert Montgomery coming in on the bum leg?
I tell you, I really don't worry about the injury factor. I'm more concerned about the guys that we line up and play with. And so many people have talent that they don't realize they have until you give them an opportunity to use it. And our people did a good job for us today. And the defense played super. And my coaching staff did a great job. And I'd sure like to say hello to everybody in Calistoga, my mom and dad and family.
Well, next stop was New Orleans, Coach. But again, was there any point during the course of the game where you felt, uh-oh, now they're playing in our hands, we're playing Eagle football?
Well, I tell you, I felt before the football game we could win because I really felt that maybe the Dallas would take us for granted.
All right, Coach.
And maybe overlook us a little bit, look down their noses at us, and you just should never take anybody for granted in this league.
Congratulations, Dick.
Thank you.
20-7, Philadelphia Eagles NFC champions. First time since 1960 this happened. Wilbert Montgomery in the shopper somewhere. Jim Murray is standing here as the general manager of the club. Jim, your reaction?
Well, you know, I'm just thanking the Lord. I think we have overcome every adversity. We're for all the little guys, all the guys out there that people don't think it can be done. You look at Dick Vermeil, Wilbert Montgomery, and you just say, thank you, Lord. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, God.
Congratulations, Jimmy. Wilbert Montgomery, the rush for over 200 yards. The old record was held in 1949 by Steve Van Buren, 196 yards rushing in a championship game. Did you have any idea you had a record going?
No, I didn't have any idea, but first of all, I'd like to thank, you know, the Lord for giving me the ability to have such a ball game and to recover from there. And I'd like to say hello to my home folks back in Greenville, Mississippi, and everybody back in Abilene.
Let's take a look at the first touchdown play here now, Wilbert. Clear the monitors, please. There you go right now. Off your right tackle. Do you remember the play?
It was a 46 slant, and it was designed to go between the right tackle and left guard and left tackle. And I just cut it all the way back, and nobody was there, and I just ran all the way.
But what about that bad leg you were supposed to have coming into the game?
It was there, but I couldn't think about it once I got it open.
Well, here's another play. This time you got your big fullback, Leroy Harris, carrying the ball inside.
Well, Leroy did a great job today. He broke tackles, he was running physical, and that's the kind of intensity we need in today's ball game.
Did you have any reservations again or second thoughts coming into the game, knowing you're all beaten, bruised, and battered, and might even be a marked man playing this ball game today?
I didn't have no doubts at all. I feel that, you know, on a given day, you know, we play good ball, we can beat the Cowboys, and, you know, they're a good team. We're not going to take anything away from them. We go in there to the Super Bowl to represent the national NFC, and we're going to do it well.
Do it well and deal. What about your injury? Are you completely recovered, or was it not as bad as we thought?
Well, it's not as bad as you thought when you win a game like this.
Okay, Brent, there you go. Brent?
Roger Staubach, what about that running performance? I don't think the Cowboys have ever given up 100 yards to anybody in a playoff game.
I agree with you. Herb's asking him if the guy's all right. He only ran for 200 yards. I think he's all right. I think you know, some key plays that second half when Dallas was driving Salty made a phenomenal catch. It was 10-7 at the time, and then the next play Dorsett fumbled. the Eagles got back in the game, but the Eagles really took advantage of the turnovers in the second half, and as we saw, Montgomery was sensational. Jaworski picked and hit the big first down plays when he had to, but Montgomery was the show on offense, and their defense, of course, was fantastic.
Well, they used to throw snowballs at Santa Claus, and now it's Jimmy the Greek, but I guess that's the price you pay when you pick the Cowboys.
They were trying to hit me when they were throwing at Jimmy, though.
The NFL Today will continue on CBS in just a moment.
We make your daughters dance, wake you to the sun. We make you smile. GE, we bring good things to life.
At GE, making your life better makes our business a nice business to be in.
We bring you closer to the ones you love. GE, we bring good things to live in. We bring good things to life.
With Comtrex, you may almost forget you have a cold.
I know my cold is still there, but thanks to Comtrex, I almost feel like it's gone.
I still have a cold, but thanks to Comtrex, I almost don't feel like I do.
These are some of the things you can take for a cold. But for one with nasal congestion, aches, sneezing, and coughs, Comtrex multi-symptom cold reliever does more. It even relieves coughs. So all by itself, it gives more kinds of relief than Dristan or Contac or Bayer. Try Comtrex in tablets, liquid, or capsules.
We are back in Philadelphia, and let's go back inside the Eagles locker room in Irv Cross. Irv?
Boy, there's an awful lot of celebration going in this locker room, Brent. Of course, Carl Harrison, the defensive end, had one whale of a game. I won't call you by your old nickname. How about Nugget?
Nugget's fine. I've been calling it all my life, and hey, I'm used to it, but if anybody want to call me No Neck, I'll take it right now.
Okay, No Neck was the old nickname he didn't like, but Ron Jaworski, you had a good day. First half, you know, did really get on track, but what happened at halftime to turn things around for you?
Well, basically, we've been a second-half ball club all year, but our offensive line played a super game. Gave Wilbert some places to run, and Leroy in the short yardage, just phenomenal. The offensive line was the key to this football game. Besides our defense playing great football, the conditions weren't the best to throw the ball and run routes and feel comfortable with the passing game, so we had to rely on the running game, and it was super.
What sort of adjustments did you have to make when Stan Walters went out with a back injury?
Well, we didn't make any changes whatsoever. We feel that the guys that we put in the backup can get the job done, and that's just the way this team is.
Well, one of the guys who had to get the job done for you was young Parker at wide receiver. Here's a pass you threw to him right here. Do you recall the play?
Yeah, I sure do. Rodney's a super receiver right here, and he just got about a 15-yard out. And you'll notice a key to a great receiver is watch his ability to come back to the football here. I'm a little bit late with the throw, but he keeps working back, and you see him right there. He makes the catch. And Rodney's going to be a great football player. He showed a lot of his ability right there.
Well, what does Rodney Parker give you as a wide receiver? Your receiving core was shattered with injuries, and he came through for you. What assets does he have?
Well, he's a tremendous competitor. You know, he's like the 44 other guys in this team. They all have the ability to compete. People sell us short on ability and other things, but one thing we do, when we show up, we're ready to play.
Was there any reservation at all in your mind, Ron, coming into this game? We're playing the Dallas Cowboys. They've been here many times before. It's the first time the Eagles have been in a championship game in 1960. Did you have any second thoughts about it?
Well, I've thought about it for a long time, and I've been in the NFL 8 years, been in 4 championships games, 3 of them with the Rams, had lost all 3. Right now, to win the NFC Championship and be going to New Orleans in the Super Bowl, it's one of the greatest moments of my life. There's absolutely no question about it. I didn't fear the Cowboys at all. I respected them.
Well, here's another guy who did a great job for you. Leroy Harris, your fullback. Leroy, you came up with some big plays when you needed it, bruising runs. What's your reaction to the ball game?
I feel great. I could hardly talk. I'm hoarse. But I'm glad we came out on top, and I'm glad I was able to contribute as much as I could so we can win.
Of course, you and Wilbur Montgomery make a good tandem there. He went over 200 yards rushing today, and you came up with some key short yardage plays when you needed it.
Yeah, Wilbur had an excellent day. You know, we all practiced all week long, so we're going to get the running game going back like it's supposed to be. And some key plays, some key blocks from some of the other players, and I made some key blocks. It was good.
Here's a key play right now, Leroy. Number 20, that's you, going inside. Tell us about it.
Well, it was a quick draw play where it just hit right off the center and right up the middle and scored a touchdown.
It wasn't quite that easy. You ran over about 6 people.
Well, the offensive line made a good block, and I just saw the hole and I just took it.
He just took it. Brent, why don't you take it?
All right, Irv, thank you very much. Jimmy, mentioning the Super Bowl, of course, if it is Philadelphia against Oakland, who would be the favorite in that game?
Philadelphia would be a 3 or 4 point favorite.
Now, how about if it's Philadelphia and San Diego?
It'd be a toss-up.
That'd be a toss-up. Terry, do you like San Diego's attack coming up in that second game a little bit here today?
Well, I don't think it's any surprise what they're going to try to do. They're going to throw the football. They're going to throw it on every down. It should be very interesting. They split Of course, Oakland and San Diego, they're 1-1, so it's a rivalry, and so it ought to be a whale of a game.
And we had a rivalry unfold here today as the Philadelphia Eagles win the National Football Conference Championship, and the NFL Today continues live from Philadelphia in just a moment. Dallas Cowboys win with class and they lose with dignity. Now, Coach John Madden is standing by inside the locker room with Tom Landry and Charlie Waters. And let's go to Coach Madden now. John?
Right, we're in a very quiet Dallas Cowboy locker room with Coach Tom Landry, who's always showed a lot of class in any situation. And Tom, I think that this young team sure came a lot further than anyone expected.
Well, we really surprised ourselves, John, that we came this far. But you know, being a coach, when you get this far, it's really disappointing when you're not able to take the next step into the Super Bowl. But you have to congratulate Philadelphia. They were hungry. They played hard. We gave them the momentum in the third quarter with 3 turnovers. And you know yourself, in a championship game or the Super Bowl, you can't give a team momentum. In the second half, you do, you're going to lose it.
Right. You know, I felt that way at halftime when it was 7-7, when the Eagles had missed some opportunities in the first half. I really felt that going into the halftime that you were at an advantage.
I thought so, too. I really did. I felt like that we escaped a lot of points early because we couldn't move the ball. They were really emotional, and they got opportunities, and our defense kept throwing them back. And I thought we had a good chance coming out at halftime that we might be able to pull it out. But then when the turnover started, then you knew you were in trouble.
Right, Tom, coming from the third game, having to play the third game, coming from the wild card position, do you think that that had any effect on your team where you had to get up for the third game in the playoffs as opposed to Philadelphia's second game?
Well, I don't think there's any question that when you have to play a wild card game and you have to play that game and then another game and another game to get Super Bowl, the odds are against you unless you can play on the same momentum level. You have to have good defense is one thing, and you've got to play at a steady rate. If you get high or low like we did last week against Atlanta, then the next week you tend to be a little bit lower than you want to be.
Right, Tom, I know there's not a lot really to turning points, but I kind of felt that this was one of the turning points in the game. This sack of Danny White. Carl Hairston comes from the right side.
Yeah, it was a big play. No question it was. He made a great play on it, and I thought we had a good chance even at that point until that happened.
Well, again, it's, you know, you hate to say anything like this, but you were just super this year and, you know, done an outstanding coaching job as always, and we just wish you the best next year.
Well, thank you, John. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And back to Brent.
All right, John, thank you very much. And again, the Philadelphia Eagles are headed for the Super Bowl down in New Orleans. And let's go back inside that Eagles locker room in Irv Cross. Irv?
Well, of course, the mood is a lot different here, Brent. Everybody's celebrating. I have 4 of the top defensive players. Claude Humphrey to my far right, who says he'll be the only farmer in Tennessee with a Super Bowl ring.
One of these rings on my finger. This is a Super Bowl ring right here. I'm going to have one of these of mine on my finger in Tennessee.
All right. Herm Edwards, the defensive back, he came up with some key plays in this game. He did it all year long.
Well, Irv, it's a long time coming. It's been 20 years, and hey, we've been down for a long time, but the Eagles are minute that wing. We finna fly right now.
What did you tell me about Jimmy the Greek?
Oh, Jimmy the Greek, come on. I ain't gonna
Okay, all right, okay. All right, Bill Berge, the guy in the middle who really controls that defense, and he tells me that you had a whale of a game plan coming. It was pretty obvious the second half. You shut him out, Bill.
Let me tell you what, Marion Campbell, excuse my hoarseness, he had a game plan for us like you couldn't believe. If it would fall off a refrigerator, it would kill a dog, I'm certain. If I could just take this opportunity, I'd love to thank my mother for all of the prayers coming off from this injury, and you're a sweetheart, and I love you very much, Mama.
Oh, boy, I tell you, quite an affectionate middle linebacker. Jerry Robinson, Jerry again. A lot of key plays today for you.
Yeah, well, we know in the game our linebackers will play a big part of a football game, just as our defensive line's pass rush. And, you know, we tried to cover sideline to sideline, and we knew we went on the second half and shut them out that our offense would start their motor running and put the points on the board. I'm an affectionate linebacker, too. I just said hello to my dad.
Okay, moms and dads, hello. Brent?
All right. Jimmy, you were waiting for the punchline from Herman, weren't you? I got to find out what you really think about San Diego, Oakland, as if we all didn't know, but that'll be coming up as the NFL Today continues in just a moment. are back in Philadelphia, and Jimmy, San Diego and Oakland. I know you're going to pick the winner, but how do you analyze it for me?
I'll tell you, it's a battle between owners and players. The quarterback, you got to give to Fouts, even reluctantly, because Plunkett has really played great football. But he's got the wide receivers. The linebackers and defensive backs, I've got to go for Hayes, Davis, and Osteen of the Raiders. They've been super this year. The defensive front, hey, 3 of those guys are in the super, in that Pro Bowl. So you got to give it to them. Not too much, though. The special teams, I've got to go with the Raiders because Ray Guy is on that situation. And the kicking game, that's what's going to win the game for him today. Well, they're the home team, but that doesn't matter. The winner is Oakland.
Would you believe it, guys? The Greek is picking the Raiders in that second game. Terry disagrees.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
They disagreed against Houston and Cleveland, too.
But I disagree with it.
How do you like, Raj?
Well, I picked Dallas by 10 to 14 over Philadelphia, so what do I know? I got to get 50-50. I go for San Diego today.
Okay. Phyllis George is standing by upstairs with the 2 men who worked hard this afternoon, Pat Summerall and Tom Brookshire. And let's go up to Phyllis now.
Thank you, Brent. We thought they forgot about us up here, didn't we, Pat?
As a matter of fact, she's sitting by with us, Brent. You know, as we mentioned before and during the broadcast, Tom Brookshire was on the last championship team that the Eagles ever had back in 1960, and it must give you some sort of special feeling. Huh?
Let's see their
old ring that's a little bit out of shape for a couple of places trying to close up too early and all that, but for all the guys out there, the Kyats and the Maxie Bonds and those people, and Billy Ray Barnes and Teddy Deans, and this is sort of one that didn't get away from the new team, and I guess we all look back and reflect and think it was really a defensive game. I think George Allen was vindicated. He said you could win it with defense, and boy, the Eagles did.
Well, you're going to wear that proudly now between now and New Orleans. This really is a city of champions, isn't it? Philadelphia has really shown brightly this year.
What are your thoughts about Dallas? Thank you. What are your thoughts about Dallas now? I know you've lived a long time in that area. What do you think?
Well, I too, like Roger, picked Dallas to win today. I thought they were on a hot streak, and I thought they'd come out after halftime and go a little bit stronger than they did, but their fuse just burned out. And the turnovers, as Landry said, was a major problem. And look, Wilbert Montgomery, he is sensational.
He really is, isn't he? You know, I'd like to, while we have a minute to reflect just a little bit, congratulate the people who put together the rule changes that have made this game, taken it away a little bit, I guess you could say, from defense, although defense still does control the situations. And the games have been higher scoring this year, and my goodness, you think back about the games that we have done this year. They have really been exciting.
Pat, the one thing I want to say is that except for maybe Pastorini, there were no serious injuries among quarterbacks, and I thought for as tough a game as it was played this year, the injury factor was cut down a lot, and there were no serious injuries, and really that's probably the final analysis of whether football is worth it or not, is nobody was really hurt.
I just want to say one thing about the two of you. I don't think there's a finer broadcast team in broadcast history. I think you two give the audience out there what they need. You give them the facts, you give them the humor, and you give them the loyalty, too.
Okay. Plus, we like each other. Let's go back to Brent Musburger.
All right, Pat Summerall, thank you very much. And we've been joined here by George Allen. And whether you know it or not, George Allen's the man who brought Dick Vermeil into professional football. You hired him as a coach once, George?
Yes. Brett, he was the first special team coach in the National Football League, and all he did was analyze the kicking game and did a great job.
He's still analyzing that kicking game. He's trying to get Franklin, though, to boost him a little.
Well, I was with the Eagles in training camp for a week. The first team meeting, Vermeil set goals for the season. They've achieved every goal. They've done everything they've set out to up until right now.
One goal left, George. And meanwhile, the NFL Today will continue on CBS in just a moment.
Can the amplified voice of Ella Fitzgerald shatter this glass?
And that is the first highlight we have to show you. The first drive for the Eagles. It took 14 seconds to score. Wilbert goes 42 yards to score the first Eagles touchdown, and the Eagles are on top at that point, 7-0. On their very next drive, Tony Franklin had a field goal blocked, and on this play right here, Harold Carmichael thought he had a touchdown from Ron Jaworski, but it was called back. Woody Peoples was called for putting his hands into the face of an opposing lineman, which is illegal. You see it right there. Dallas scored, and it was 7-7 at the half. Now, the turnovers in the third quarter go like this. Danny White is sacked by Carl Hairston, and Dennis Harrison recovers. Both sides made some early turnovers in the half, and that led to a Tony Franklin field goal from 26 yards out. And the Eagles take the lead at that point, and that was to be the winning score, 10-7. Here Dorsett runs the ball. He's tackled by Roynell Young and stripped of it. Jerry Robinson, the all-pro linebacker, picks it up, and Jerry runs it 22 yards down to the 38-yard line. And that set up a run by another running back for the Eagles who had a superb day. Leroy Harris goes 9 yards. In the entire league, and championships are won with defense. This, again, is the first play that they scored on. The second play of their first drive, 14 seconds into the game, and Wilbert Montgomery goes 42 yards to score, and the Eagles, kind of shockingly, are on top 7-0. They thought they had another touchdown here. Ron goes to Harold Carmichael, super play, but they called a personal foul on Woody Peoples. And you're going to see it right here. Woody Peoples, number 69. You can jam with your hands, you can't hold on, and you can't hit him in the face. And obviously, Woody Peoples there does have his hands in the face. Well, Danny White was under a lot of pressure all day. That was probably the key play in the game in the third quarter. He's sacked by Carl Hairston, who should be all-pro. Dennis Harrison recovers. It sets up a Tony Franklin field goal from 26 yards out, and the Eagles are on top at that point by a score of 10-7. That's all they would need. But Tony Dorsett, who later said this was the key play in the game, is stripped of the ball by Roynell Young. Just a rookie, huh? Doesn't play like one. And then the second-year linebacker, Jerry Robinson, returns it 22 yards to the Dallas 38-yard line. And that sets up a 9-yard run by Leroy Harris, who gained 60 yards on the ground today. And the Eagles are on top at that point, 17-7. Does Leroy look happy? Here's Wilbert Montgomery, a 54-yard run. Look at the cutback. They say he is the best cutback runner in football. He's indicating it there. 54 yards of his 194 yards on the ground. 2 minutes and 14 seconds on the scoreboard when Tony Franklin's 20-yard field goal makes it the final score of 20-7. The Philadelphia Eagles win the NFC Championship. They go to the Super Bowl. The fans, as you can see, are deliriously happy. The Super Bowl is for the Superbirds. Dick Vermeil, he looks pretty happy. Every...
We're going south. We're amazing. All right, we're number one. We're number one.
You are number one.
We're going to tear this town apart tonight. We
yes, you are.
Oh, yes, we are. We're going to have one big party.
All
we
right.
got a Super Bowl party. All right.
Yes, sir.
Hey, number one, Eagles.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is over. Hey, big guy, come here.
What's up?
What do you know?
All I know is we won. We going to the Super Bowl.
There it is. That tells the whole story right there. Harold Carmichael, Dick Vermeil. What a joyous moment. No one has left the stadium. No one has left the stadium. The Eagles have won it, and I must say in very convincing fashion. The score doesn't indicate just how badly they did. As was mentioned, whip their butts. I can't explain it, but this team came out today ready to play. When I talked to Dick Vermeil on Friday night, Dick said, I don't know what this team is going to do. I can't read them at all. I don't know what it's going to be. But boy, did he get a eye full today out here at Veterans Stadium. The Eagles have won the NFC.
Only the second play from scrimmage. Wilbert Montgomery 42 yards into the end zone. Philadelphia on top by a score of 7-0. Now in that second quarter, the Dallas Cowboys put together their only sustained drive of the afternoon, and it's Dorsett crunching over from about the 2-yard line, 7-7. Late in the second quarter, Philadelphia's Wilbert Montgomery again. Look at the gaping holes in the middle of that line. Wilbur slides to the outside, 35-30, gets a nice screen block from Parker, and Philadelphia now going for it all. A strange call on this one, not the pass. Great move by Harold. Touchdown is nullified by a hand jam by number 69 of the Philadelphia Eagles, Woody Peoples. Now we're back in the third quarter, still 7-7. Hairston with the thump. Harrison falls on the football. And this leads to a Franklin field goal. And Philadelphia's on top again, 10-7. Now this is the play I'm talking about. Dorsett stripped of the ball by Young, picked up by number 59 for Philadelphia. To make that 56, Jerry Robinson. What an alert ball player. They were going in for the possible go-ahead score right there. It's 10-7, and the Philadelphia fanatical fans. It's inside. Leroy Harris. Boy, what a thumper there, down to about the 15-yard line. Jaws only had 9 completions on the afternoon. Great diving catch there by Rodney Parker for Philadelphia. Inside handoff, great call on second down. Trap play into the end zone goes Leroy Harris, and Philadelphia is on top by a score of 17-7. Hugged by his teammates, and at this point in time, Philadelphia certainly felt that they had things going their way. Wilbert Montgomery, deep in Dallas territory, and on the turnaround here, 54 yards, finally knocked out of bounds. Unfortunately, going for the touchdown, Jaworski was intercepted on the goal line. Had he gotten the pass higher, later, it was another field goal by Tony Franklin, and Philadelphia on top here, 20-7. This is late in the fourth period after a long, sustained drive by Philadelphia. Waning seconds of the game, this is up in the air. The typical Hail Mary pass picked off by number 43 for Philadelphia, Roynell Young. Fumbles the ball, and Philadelphia does recover. Little scrimmage there for the ball, but Philadelphia comes away, and the clock ticks down. The Super Bowl is for the Super Bowl Birds, and there is head coach Dick Vermeil of Philadelphia. And hasn't he done a fantastic job, completely dominating the offensive and defensive line and the front four for the Dallas Cowboys. They were not around in the late afternoon, being congratulated by Dennis Thurman there. Philadelphia winning.